4 slicers. This is by far the biggest set of OBL, so if you can learn all of these, then you are well on your way to full OBL. I already covered 6 of the 4 slicers in my 3 slice video, so make sure you've already watched that so you don't have any gaps in your OBL knowledge. Starting with C-adj, this is just 2 adjacent corners and 2 adjacent corners. You hold the top corners on the left and the bottom corners on the right, and this one is just best to do algorithmically, but it's a very simple alg with a nice pattern. Misalign the top, F prime, M, F prime. And if the colors were swapped, still put these on the left, these on the bottom, and do the same algorithm, but cancel into 6, 6 at the end. Next case is bad pair, which looks like you might be able to do CO and then get an EO skip, but you'd actually get 1, 1. All you need to do is pair the pairs together as much as you can. So we could bring this corner down, like this, or we could bring both of these pieces down to match with this corner. And then that's going to essentially create a pseudo shell, a pseudo corner edge corner block. So we brought down this corner and now we have a pseudo corner edge corner block. As you can see, this sets up to shell Yoshi. And so we just want to do a small move that will preserve the pseudo shell. So in this case we would want to do a small D prime so that we can preserve this pseudo shell on the left, and then you would just get good pair. Here's another bad pair. So all we do is we match up the pairs with each other to create a pseudo shell. So we could bring up this corner up to these to make this pseudo shell, and then do a small move to preserve the pseudo shell, and then we get good pair. Or we could bring both of these pieces up to this corner, which would make another pseudo shell up here, and we would do a small U move to preserve that pseudo shell into good pair. Next up is bad pair arrow. And it's bad pair arrow when you can't break up this pair and the pair of pieces in between the arrow pieces without going out of cube shape. Once you realize this is the bad case, move both shapes to the right side of the cube, like this. So now the arrow's on the right and the pair is on the right. To make sure you end up with the pieces in the correct position, the corners of each shape should be in similar positions. So this is in bottom right, so this should be in bottom right. And the edge of the arrow should be on the top or the bottom. It shouldn't be on the side. Slice in a way that does not take the entire arrow. So you don't want to slice like this because that would take both pieces. Instead you want to slice like this to just bring up this corner, and then you would swap it with the pair up here. And once you slice, that just sets up to this nice 3 slicer knight axe. So after you do your first slice, you're going to do an F on whatever layer the pair was originally on. So here we see the pair is on the top layer, so we're going to do an F on the top layer after the first slice. So slice F, and then for the third slice you're going to do a 3 move in the same direction on the same layer. So we did an F, which did a 4 on the top, so we're going to do a 3 on the top because that kind of goes in the same direction on the same layer, and then we get a 1 slice OBL. Here's another example. I see that I have arrow and pair, so immediately I bring both shapes to the front and I try to break them up like this. So I've broken this one up and broken this one up. I see that I can't do that without going out of cube shape, so immediately I bring both shapes to the right side of the cube. Make sure the corners are in similar positions. Align it so that I won't take the entire arrow, and then take note of which layer the pair is on. It's on the bottom, so I'm going to do an F on the bottom after the first slice. So slice, and then F on the bottom. And then, as I said before, for the third slice, you're going to do a 90-degree move in the same direction on the same layer. So we did a 4 on the bottom, so now we're going to do a 3 on the bottom, and then we just have a 1 slice OBL. Next case is gem. Put the top gem in the front left and the bottom gem in the back right. You misalign the top, and you slice, do an F prime, slice, small U prime, slice, U prime, slice. Next is gem knight. Hold the knight upright like this, and then you hold the gem with the corner in the same position as the knight, so top right. Then you preserve the block, and you're going to track where the head of the knight goes after the first slice. So in this case, after we slice, it'll go to the top layer, and then you'll just cross the knight head over the slice like this with a U prime, and then you get a 2 slicer. Here's another knight gem. I would start by putting the knight upright like this, and then putting the gem corner in a similar position as the knight corner. Then I would see where this corner is going to go after the first slice, and it stays right there. So I'm just going to do a U to cross it over the slice like this, and then I get good thumb. Next up is a pretty simple and nice case, is Squid gem. And all you do for this is just CO into M2 to make sure that you force M2 and not LL. When you slice, you're going to break up the gem, so you don't want to preserve it when you slice like this, because then you'll get LL. you want to break up the gem. However you hold it, you want to break it up like this, COM2. Next case is good knight knight. It's good when the knights are on opposite sides when you hold them upright. So this would be right knight, left knight. What you do for this is you find the knight that is on the left, so this one, and then you misalign the top. You do that for all of the good knight knights. And you're going to cross this knight corner over the slice, so that would be a D. So after I do my first slice, I'll do a D. And then for the next slice, just do a small move in the same direction, so that would be a small D, and then I would just finish off with a one slice. Here we have left knight, right knight, so this is good. This knight is on the left, so I'm going to misalign the top, then I'm going to cross this corner over the top with a U move, then do a small move in the same direction, which would be a small U, and then one more slice. I'm also going to show you bad knight knight, which is a 5 slicer, and it's when the knights are on the same side. You start by putting the top knight on the top of its layer like this, and then you slice and do an F prime on top, and then you get a 3 slice OBL. Here's left knight knight, same rule, you just put the top knight on the top like this, you always misalign the top, and you're going to slice and do an F prime on top, slice, F prime on top, and then you get this 3 slice OBL. Here's knight squid. You start by putting the knight upright, and then putting the squid head in a similar position as the knight head, and then after you slice from this, basically you just preserve the knight. You're going to track where the squid head goes, and kind of similar to knight gem, you're going to cross this over the slice. So after I slice from here, it's going to go right here, and then I would cross it over the slice with a U prime, and then I get this 2 slice OBL. This is squid right knight, so this is upright. This corner is in the similar position as this corner. Then I would preserve the knight and track where this squid head is going to go, and then cross it over the slice. So slice, this is going to be right here, so I would do a D prime to cross it over the slice, and then good thumb thumb. One more example, knight squid, put the knight upright, put the squid in a similar position, preserve the knight, slice, track where the squid head went, it stayed right here, so we're going to cross it over the slice with a D, slice again, good thumb thumb. Now we have axe squid. It's very similar to knight squid because you put the axe upright, and after you slice, you cross the squid head over the slice, just like that, and that's good thumb thumbs. But the only difference is, instead of putting the squid in a similar position as the axe, you're going to put it kind of across the slice from it, but still on the top. So since this corner is in the top left, you want to put this corner in the top right, and then slice, track where the squid head went, it was right here, so we're going to cross it over the slice with a U prime, and then we get good thumb thumb. Here, squid axe, start by putting the axe upright, put the squid in the opposite side, but still on the top, so this is left, this is right, and then we slice. After we slice, we're going to track where this squid head goes, it goes right here, cross it over the slice, and then good thumb thumb. Next case can be pretty tricky to recognize, and it is thumb bunny. Start by putting the thumb on the left, put the bunny on the left, basically putting this knight shape on the left side of the cube, and if I can preserve the gem of the thumb, and I can preserve the knight shape within the bunny, then I kind of consider this good, even though it's the same slice count as the other one. Here's the other one, so we have a left thumb up here, and then if we try to preserve the gem and preserve this knight shape, you see we can't really do that without going out of cube shape, so I would call this the bad version. So if we have a good thumb bunny, we're going to hold it in this position, preserving the gem and the knight shape within the bunny, and after we slice, we're going to do an F move on the layer that the thumb is on, so slice, F, slice, and then we get good pair pair. Here's another bunny thumb. I would start by putting this knight shape of the bunny on the left here, and then putting this thumb on the left, so you don't want it like this because the edge is on over here. You want to put the edge on the bottom or the top depending on which thumb it is. As you can see, we can preserve this knight and preserve this gem at the same time without going out of cube shape, so I would call this good. We slice from here and do an F on the thumb layer, so slice, small F, slice, good pair pair. So what if you can't preserve the thumb and the bunny at the same time? Like in this example, we can't preserve this gem and the knight of the bunny at the same time without going out of cube shape. So I would call this the bad alk, which is also a 4 slicer. The corners of each shape are on the left side of the cube, so this is on the left, this is on the left. And when you realize it's bad, you want to put the corner in a different position so that it's still on the left. So there's really only one option for each layer. So this is in the bottom left, so we want to put it in the top left. This is in the bottom left, so we want to put it in the top left. And these are the angles for the bad thumb bunny. After you do your first slice from this position, which is preserving the gem, and you should be preserving this pair too, you're going to do 2 alternating small moves that cross these 2 pieces over the slice. So in this instance, that would be /D to cross them over the slice. Since it's alternating, I'll do a D prime after that, and then I'm left with just a 1 slicer. Here's another case. I see I have a bunny and a thumb. I start by putting the shapes on the left, so I put the knight shape of the bunny on the left. I put the thumb on the left with the edge on the top or the bottom. I can't preserve the knight and the gem at the same time, so I bring the corners to the other positions that will keep them on the left. So this is in bottom left. I want it in top left, bottom left, top left. From here I want to preserve the gem of the thumb and then slice. And after that slice, I'll cross these 2 pieces over the slice. So that would be a U. And then I'll do the opposite of that, which would be a U prime. And then 1 slice OBL. One more example. Thumb bunny. Put the thumb on the left. Put the knight of the bunny on the left. I can't preserve both shapes, so I put this one on the bottom left, this one on the bottom left. Just keep the corners on the left side of the cube, but not in that specific position. As you can see, I can preserve the gem and these 2 pieces. So after I slice, I'll do moves that will cross these 2 pieces over the slice. So that would be a D prime. And then I'll do the inverse of that, which is a D. And then 1 slice OBL. Okay, after that mess, we have a refreshingly simple case, which is shell. So we have a white shell on top and a black shell on bottom. So for this, there's only 2 cases. It's just this and its white-black mirror. So put the bottom shell on the left and put the top shell on the top of its layer. And then misalign the top so that when you slice, it'll bring these 2 pieces, this edge and corner, down to pair with this shell. As you can see, it sets up to gem axe. So after you do that first slice, you're going to do an F prime on the top layer, and then you just get good pair. So here's the color mirror. We're going to put this shell on the left and the top shell on the top. Misalign this to bring down these 2 pieces, then do an F prime on the top layer, and then good pair. Next we have shell bird. You can do it from a lot of angles, but you just want to pair the shell with this corner of the bird plus this edge right next to it. So we could bring up these 2 pieces to the shell like this, and that sets up to good arrow pair. For the second slice, you're just going to track where the corner of the bird went. So it goes to the top layer in this instance, and you're just going to do an F on that new layer. So F on the top layer, and then good thumb. Here's another example. We have bird shell. We're going to pair the shell with this corner of the bird and this edge in the middle. So we could do it like this. So we'd bring up the shell like this. As I said before, we're going to track which layer this corner will end up on after the first slice. Since it's on the left, it's going to stay on the top layer. So we're going to do an F on the top layer after our first slice. And then good thumb. Next we have shell hazard. You're going to put the shell in the back and the hazard corners in the front. And you're going to misalign the top and do slash, small u slash, and then you'll get a 2 slice OBL from there. Here's another one. We have hazard shell. So we're going to put the shell in the back, the hazard in the front, misalign the top, slash, small u slash. And that works for all of the hazard shells. So here's one more. Shell in the back, hazard in the front, slash u slash, then corner M2. Next 4th slicer is good bird. As soon as I realize that I have 2 birds, I put the top bird on the left like this, and then I find the pair of the bottom bird, so this corner and edge, and I put that on the right side of the cube so that I can bring it up to match with the top bird. If I realize that when I slice, I'm going to bring up an extra edge, so like this one, that is good bird. And for good bird, after you slice from here, preserving the top bird, you're going to cross this corner edge pair over the slice. So I would slice, as you can see that sets up to axe gem, and I would cross the corner edge over the slice like this. And then for the 3rd slice, you do a small move in the same direction, so that would be a small D prime, and then 1 slice. Another example, I see I have 2 birds, so I immediately put the top bird on the left, and I put the bottom bird pair on the right side of the cube like this. And I make sure that this corner is on the left, so it's like horizontal. And then I slice like this, which would set up to axe gem. Before I slice, I notice that I'm going to take this extra edge up to the top slice because I'm preserving this bird, so I'll have to slice like this, which means it's good bird. And then for good bird bird, I am going to cross the top bird pair over the slice. So I'm going to cross these pieces over this slice, and then do a small move in the same direction, and then just one slice. Now, bad bird bird is remarkably similar in its solution. As I said before, when I see I have two birds, I put the top bird on the left and the pair of the bottom bird on the right side of the cube. And now when I sliced like this, preserving the top bird, I see that I would not bring this extra edge. I would just cleanly bring these two pieces, which means it's bad bird bird. And it's the same kind of one-looking strategy as good bird bird, where I'm going to cross these two pieces over the slice, so U prime, but then instead of doing a small move in the same direction like we did for good bird bird, I'm going to do an M, so a 1-1, and then I have this two slice OBL. Here's another one. I see I have two birds, so I put the top one on the left, and for the bottom one I find the pair of pieces and put them on the right side of the cube. When I slice, I notice I'm not going to take this extra edge here, so it's bad bird bird, which means after I slice, I'm going to cross these two pieces, the top bird pair, over the slice, and then do a 1-1, and then that gives me a two slice OBL. Next up we have bird hazard. So kind of similar to bird bird, when I see that I have bird hazard, I put the bird on the left. So even if it's on the bottom, I would put it on the left like this. And then I look at the inverse of hazard, which is these two black pieces, and this edge. And what I'm going to do is preserve the bird, and then bring up these two pieces and this edge to match up with the bird, and that sets up to good arrow pair. After you do the first slice, you're going to cross the other pair of the hazard over the slice. So we brought this one up, and then we're going to cross the remaining one over the slice, so that would be a D prime, and then we get good thumb two slicer. Here's another one, hazard bird. I see that I have hazard bird, so I put the bird on the left, and then I bring the pair in a similar position as the pair of the bird. So I'm going to bring down this pair to match with the bird like this, and then I move this remaining pair of the hazard over the slice with a U prime, and then I have good thumb. Next OBL is hazard Yoshi. This is a pretty flexible one, so all you need to do is find the corner edge pair of the Yoshi and match it up with one of the corners of the hazard. So here we could bring down this corner of the hazard to match with the corner edge of the Yoshi, and then we would get good T tie or tie T. And then for the second slice, all you need to do is any T move that you can do from this alignment. So we could do 2 -4 and get good thumb, or we could do -4 and then get good thumb. So it's quite flexible. So we could also do the same case from a different angle. We could put the edge corner in the front here, and then we would just put the hazard corner up here, so that when we pair it together, we can do any T move and then get good thumbs. Here's another example. We have Yoshi hazard. So we're going to find the corner edge pair of the Yoshi and find a corner of the hazard, and then we're going to pair this corner with this pair like this, and then do any T move. I'll do a -2-4 here, and then we get good thumb. Next up is Kite T. So first thing you do is you find the T and note its color. So in this case we have a black T, so we're going to look for the black kite, which is this one, and then once you find that kite, you're going to put it on the left. Next, find the edge of the kite that's on the outside, so this one. You're going to find the edge of the T and put this edge directly below the edge of the kite, or if it was flipped, then you'd put it above like this. You're going to hold it so that you don't preserve the kite, so you're going to take away this edge like this, and then when you slice, it sets up to gem axe. For the second slice, after you do the first slice, you're going to bring the rest of the kite closer to the edge that gets swapped. So in this case, that would be a U move. So we would slice and do a U move, and then for the third slice, you do a small move in the same direction, which would be a small U, and then one slice OBL. One more example, we have Kite T. You may notice we have a white T, which means we want to find the white kite and put that on the left. Then we find the edge of the kite, which is right here. We want to find the edge of the T and put it directly above or below that. And then we align it so that the kite will be broken up. And then after our first slice, we'll do a move that will bring the rest of the kite closer to this edge. So that's a U prime. And then we do a small move in the same direction, which is a small U prime, and then one slice OBL. Next case is pretty useful. It's bad kite N. and obviously it's bad when you can't preserve the blocks to get an EO skip. So this is a pretty forgiving case because all you need to do is hold the kites vertically like this. It can be like this or this, it doesn't matter. You can hold the ends wherever. Just make sure that you preserve the kite, and that means that you'll be breaking up the ends, but it doesn't matter where you hold it like this. You're going to slice, which sets up to good arrow pair. For one looking, pay attention to the alignment of the kite. So if the kite is aligned, you're going to do a small E after the first slice, and if the kites are misaligned, you're going to do a small E prime after the first slice. So in this case, the kites are misaligned, so we'll do a slice and then an E prime, which gives us a 2-slice OBL. And then in this case, the kites are aligned, so we'll do a small E, and then we get good thumb. It's pretty easy to plan the third slice too. So here we have a kite on bottom, so we'll misalign the bottom, and we'll slice, do a small E prime, since the kites were misaligned. And for your third slice, you're always going to do an F on the top, or an F prime, depending on your alignments. So here we're going to do an F, and then we get 1-slice OBL. Here we have a line kite on top, so we'll misalign the bottom, slash, small E, slash, and then we always do an F on the top after that, and then we get a 1-slice OBL. Next we have kite tie. So pretty similar to kite T, you're going to start by looking at the color of the tie. In this case it's black, and then you pay attention to the kite of the same color, which is the black kite. You start by finding the outer edge of the kite like we did for kite T, and then you find the adjacent corner, which is here, and you put those two pieces on the right like this. Then you find the knot of the tie, or this gem shape, and you're going to put it on the left and preserve it. So this is the only way you can hold this while only bringing these two pieces. Once you slice, you get Yoshi shell, which is a 3-slicer. To one look, after you do the first slice, you're going to do a small move that will preserve the knot of the tie. So in that case, it would be a small D prime, because if you did a small U prime, then the gem would be broken up like this. So you don't want to do that. You do a small D prime, and then you just do the alternating move of that, and then you get a 1-slicer. Here's a mirror. It's tie kite, and we see that the tie is white, so we'll find the white kite and find the outer edge and its touching corner and put those two pieces on the right side of the cube, and then we put the knot of the tie on the left so that it'll be preserved like this, and then we'll slice. After we do the first slice, we'll do 2 alternating moves that will preserve the gem or the knot of the tie. So that would be a small U. So slash, small U, and then inverse that, and then you get a 1-slice OBL. One more, we have a black tie on bottom, so we'll look for the black kite, and these 2 pieces are the ones we need to put on the right side. This time they're on the bottom. And then once again we put the gem or the knot of the tie on the left here and preserve, and then we'll do slice and then 2 alternating small moves that will preserve that gem like this, and then 1-slice OBL. Next case is cut T. Similar to previous cases, we find the color of the T, which is black, then we find the color of the cut that's black and put that on the left. Then we find the outer edge, not this one out here, but kind of the one of the kite, and similar to kite T, we put the edge directly below this edge. And then from here we preserve as much of the cut as we can, and we slice, and then do an F move on the cut layer, which would be the top layer, so F prime. And then we do a 90-degree move in the same direction, which would be a U prime, and then we get a 1-slice OBL. Here's T cut. The T is black, so we look for the black cut and put it on the left. We find this outer edge and put the edge of the T directly above that. Preserve the cut like this, slice, and then do an F on the bottom layer, so that would be a small F prime. And then we do a 90-degree move in the same direction on the same layer, which would be a D prime, and then 1-slice OBL. One more example, cut T. We have a white T this time, so we look for the white cut, put it on the left, find the outer edge of the cut, find the edge of the T, and put it directly under like this, and then preserve the cut. We're going to do an F move on the cut layer as always, so slice, F slice, and then a U move because it's in the same direction, and then one more slice. Second to last case is good cut N. You can look at either color. So for instance, if we looked at the white cut here, we would, I guess, put that on the left and then look at the white N. And what you want to do is once you put the cut on the left, you want to find these 2 edges and preserve them like keep them together sort of, so align it like that. And then you're going to hold the end so that the same color pair kind of swaps with these two edges. It's good cut end when, if you align it like this, preserving these two edges, that you'll take up this extra edge with the end instead of like this, which would be bad cut end. So this is good. And after you slice, you see you get good bunny bunny. And one looking is really nice. So after you do your first slice, you'll do an F on the end layer, and then you'll do a big E or E prime, it doesn't matter. So we'll do a slice, and then an F on the bottom layer, and then an E or E prime, whatever your mood is. I'll do an E prime, and then one slice OBL. Here's another one. We have N on top and cut on bottom. So we'll look at the black cut this time, and we see we have these two edges here, so I want to hold it just like this to preserve them. Then I put the black corner edge pair up here so that it'll swap with the edges like this. And then once again, after we do our first slice, we'll do an F on the end layer, which is the top layer, so that's an F prime. And then an E or E prime, I'll do an E this time, and then one slice OBL. Now I mentioned that there's bad cut end, which is where if you preserve these two edges and you try to bring up the end, it's going to come cleanly like this. So this is bad cut end, which is a 5 slicer, but the solution is very similar to good cut end. So after you do your first slice, you're going to do a small E or E prime such that this end pair that you bring to the other slice will cross over this slice like this. So in this case I had to do a small E prime to cross it over the slice, and then from here it's the exact same as the good cut end, which is an F prime on the end layer, or you know, an F depending on your alignments, and then a big E or E prime, and then just one slice. So here's the other bad end cut. Hold either kite on the left and then find the end that's the same color. So this is on the left, then we find these two edges, we preserve them like this, we put the pair right here so that it'll swap like this. And since we're not going to take any extra pieces over here when we slice, it'll come like cleanly, then it's the bad end cut, which means that after we do our first slice, we're going to cross these two pieces over the slice, the end pieces over the slice, and also these end pieces if you want to think about it like that. So we're crossing this over the slice and this over the slice, and then just like for good end cut, you'll do an F prime on the end layer, which is the top layer, and then you do a big E or E prime. I'll do an E prime here, and then one more slice. Alright, last 4 slicer is cut tie, and similar to other cases, you'll find the color of the tie, which is black, and then find the color of the cut that's the same, so the black one. Instead of putting it on the left this time, we put it in the back like this. Then you hold it so that you'll bring up 2/3 of this knot to pair with this lone corner of the cut plus this middle edge here. So in this case, we would bring up these two pieces to these two pieces, and then from here we would get good bird Yoshi. Make sure you don't preserve the knot on this one, because then you'll get bad bird Yoshi. And before you do your first slice, you're going to pay attention to where the knot of the tie is going to go, and in this case it's going to go on the top layer, so we'll do an F on the top layer, and then we just have a 2-slice OBL. Here's another one. We have tie cut. The tie is black, so we'll look for the black cut and put it in the back. Then we'll look for the lone corner and its adjacent edge in the middle here, and then we'll match it up with 2/3 of the knot like this, so we'll misalign the bottom. And then after our first slice, we're going to do an F on whichever layer the majority of the knot ends up on, which is the top. So we'll slice, do an F on the top, and we get a 2-slice OBL from there. Here we have cut tie. Our tie is white, so we'll look for the white cut and put it in the back. Then we'll pair up 2/3 of this knot with this lone corner and this adjacent edge. So in this case, we'll be misaligning the top. And then after our first slice, our knot is going to stay on the bottom, so we'll do an F on the bottom. So slice, F on the bottom, actually an F prime, and then we get good thumb. Okay, those are all of the 4-slice OBLs. So if you've made it through this whole video, congratulations, and I hope to see you in the 5-slicer episode.